All right, so episode 2.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
We're excited for episode 2.
We are excited for episode
Being
2.
here.
It is the best episode 2 yet.
It'll look the best, too.
It will look the best.
Yes.
You may notice we are now shooting in 4K.
So welcome to 4K YouTube.
Welcome to 4K YouTube.
If you're listening in your headphones or anything like that, it's still the same. So enjoy the same sound.
The same sound as last time.
It sounds pretty good. So we'll roll
It's
with
not
that.
bad. It's not bad.
What have you been up to, Nick? Past a couple weeks time off?
Nothing really. Just working on the back end of this stuff.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It's a lot of technical stuff, getting it up on all of the big podcast sites and all that, which we are now
We're
on.
here.
We are
Yeah,
on
we are
Apple
officially
Podcasts, Spotify, all the big ones.
Yeah, we're officially on everything.
Yep.
So check us out on everything.
On
If
everything.
you click the Buzzsprout, click our little website, you will be able to find us on legitimately everything, which is kind of shocking, but we're there. So I think that's pretty good there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you've been up to, man? You hitting the beach at all? I
don't think so. I did read an article the other day. It was about the so last episode I talked about the diatoms and how their shell is getting thinner. I was reading another article saying that the skin of sharks is actually doing the same thing.
You know, yeah, I probably didn't read the same article as you, but I heard about that a couple months ago, and I thought that was pretty interesting. That's starting to be
the same
affected.
concept that the pH level is affecting their skin. It's kind of scary because sharks are already getting pretty
being finned everywhere,
beat up. So
yeah,
it's
no,
pretty gnarly.
I definitely heard about that one. I wanted to bring up a pretty interesting article that kind of relates to our gen and our little collective group of friends and everything like that. It was actually sent to me by my grandma, so thanks, Grammy. She had sent me an article saying how this one specifically was tied into boating and how it can help, I guess, pull kids away from devices and kind of pull your head out of and get that disconnect that we've been kind of discussing and talking about from social media or just electronics.
Yeah, so just stop listening to the podcast now, go get on a boat and leave.
Way to take that to the drastic.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
But, you know, I like to look at that in a more broad spectrum of, you know, taking the kelp bed and more or less water, the ocean, or a lake or whatever kind of body of water you're on.
It's like that with anything that has to do with nature or the planet or just being outdoors. It's like we spend so much time in front of screens. You know, I think you said it in the intro episode, actually. Like, we have screens in our cars. We have screens.
We have screens on our boats.
Yeah, we do have screens on our boats. But it's just there's so much time spent in front of screens and stuff. It's nice to be able to just kind of disconnect from that.
Right. The cool part about this article is it went into more detail on how it's a responsibility of being around water for young kids. Because when you're young, you're taught that water is inherently dangerous, but we can enjoy it, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not taught that about technology, is where this article was going, is how technology can, in a sense, be dangerous. But then it pulled it back into the water saying, you know, it's a physical danger, but humans... most humans, there are people that don't respect it, respect water in the ocean, and to the point where they will, you know, pull everything away and push everything else away and concentrate on that one thing that they're doing in the water or the ocean. And that's where it was getting with boating is, you know, when you have a boat underneath you and you're in command of a boat, like you have so much going on that you need to think about, whether it's other boat traffic, whether it's water, whether it's weather, whether it's the actual technical side of the boat. It was saying how it really fully 100% of your mind will fully be away from the technology, away from social media, away from harassment, stress, bullying, that kind of thing. And that's what I found really interesting was how, I don't know, I think it was just the fact that it involved water and it was pulling away and reiterating my point of like, it was cool to have an actual magazine article go through it. Now, it wasn't a very big magazine. My grandpa owns a marina. It's like one of those like small time New Jersey magazines, but it was still really interesting to read this little, you know, maybe 500 word essay on how it can pull you away from it. And, you know, I think we can tie that into what we're doing here. And I want to hear your perspective on that too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's anything that has to do with being outdoors. It pulls you away from your phone. You had said, how did you put it? I think you said like something along the lines of it was being on the boats like pulls you away because you're concentrating on so much other stuff.
Right, because
you said?
It's an inherent danger, but it's a respect for what you're doing.
So my counter to that would be, so then why are people on their phones in the car? Because you're driving along and you have just as much to watch.
But think
and pay
about
attention to. So is it the concept of being on the water and the water being scary. Is that the point?
It didn't go into detail into that, but we can look at it in the way of you drive every single day, right?
Okay.
There are a few people who are on the water every single day.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably a very small percentage of us. But when it was looking into it, it was the recreation side of boating, we'll look at it in the recreation side of utilizing our waters out here.
Right.
So at the recreation side of it, it doesn't happen every day like driving. So if you look at it from driving,
so because it's something. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's something,
because it's something new, basically.
It's something new. And if you think about it, when you're in a car, you are genuinely, it's almost second nature driving a car every single day.
Right.
But every time you or I get in the water or get on the boat, we're always like, okay, like you're always kind of like this one over here or like, this over here. It's not like a car where you're just like driving and music, clicking this button and, turning your mirrors. It's
interesting. So yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of look at it in that perspective. I mean, for me, it seems like more of along the lines, I would say at least, like just being there and being in that moment, you kind of stop thinking about being on your phone and stuff like that. Whereas when you're in a car, you're sitting in traffic or you're at a stoplight and there's always that temptation to look down at your phone. Right. So when you're on the boat, there's always something going on. There's always something to look at. There's always something you haven't seen before. Right. And so maybe, I mean, for me, that seems more of like the reason that people maybe not are using their phone as much on a boat. I don't know. But that's an interesting article. I mean, it's definitely interesting to think about.
Really cool to actually finally, I guess there's probably been a lot more, but it was cool to have someone from the outside already just like, hey, check this out. And I was like, whoa, cool. She was like, this is what you were talking about, right? And I'm like, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah,
so I figured I'd go in more detail about that when I brought that up into episode 1. And that's.
It's definitely a big topic. It's like, I mean, for me personally, that's the time that you want to disconnect. It's the same thing as going camping or something where you have no cell phone signal. Mm-hmm. Like that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's amazing when you don't have even the possibility of accessing that device. It kind of just changes the way you see everything. You're not constantly looking down or checking emails or looking at text. You're actually like paying attention to what's going on around you. And I think that's huge. And I think that's something that definitely today's kids, even our generation, needs to work on.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely something that we all kind of need to like think about as you go about
just
your
like
daily life.
Say you can do it or do anything.
Exactly.
You need to actually do it. And,
but anybody can force themselves to do it for an hour. But the concept of training yourself to enjoy the things around you instead of looking at other people's lives through Instagram or whatever is key to, I think, our happiness at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely like you can notice, or at least I notice, sitting there on Instagram, everybody looks happy.
Yeah, it's someone used a really good term for it the other day, but anyway, it's basically, it's a fake image of what your life is, right?
Definitely.
It's only the good times. No one posts the bad times. No one posts the depressing times, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So when you look on, a really big YouTuber's page or a really big Instagrammer's page, it's just the good stuff. So,
yeah.
And, I know you and I practice this a lot. It's really partly because we don't, on our own private Instagrams and accounts, we don't post a crazy amount. And when we do, it's like a big time or a big moment, or like our birthdays or something, right?
Yeah.
That's really it. And we just, you and I, when we're together, other than these past few times, just figuring out technical side of stuff, we normally aren't on our phones. Like we are, I mean, then again, most of the time we're on the water, in the water, and you can't physically be on your phone or whatever. But
not yet. The technology is not there.
I know, right?
I think it was a scuba mask. Maybe it was swimming goggles. Well, I saw something that had like a integrated screen in the actual goggle itself that told you like how long you'd been underwater.
Like a HUD? Like a heads up?
Yeah, like a heads up display. I think it was swimming goggles because I remember it doing like lap times.
Oh, I can see that.
But wouldn't that be cool if they could take a scuba, like a computer?
Well, the scuba computers I know because they're already like, when I was working back at Sports Day, we had the, the really fancy crazy ones that are, $2,000-$3,000 that are literally, you can hook up to your phone and just Bluetooth to your phone.
Right. But wouldn't that be cool if you could put it in your mask? So you can just like, tap the side or something and see your air left or your time underwater or your depth.
That's a piece of technology that
would be pretty cool.
I would only like it though if it only was dive information. I wouldn't like it, because eventually they'll be like, oh,
now you can play Pac-Man.
You can, here's Pong. Like, here's audio. You can now listen to your music while you dive. Listen to Mozart while you look at this reef. It's like, that's where I'm just like, nah, sorry, get out of here. Like, we're done.
Yeah. But no, definitely having some sort of heads-up display like that would be pretty, actually kind of cool.
That would be really, really helpful for, I think, a lot of people. Because when you're underwater, like, a lot of people you don't wear a watch. So you're not inherently normal function is to, like me, I have worn a watch.
You always look at your watch
every day for how many years. And so I see the time and I'm used to turning my hand and looking at my watch. Whereas, looking at a dive computer, we only dive how many times a year? I mean, it's a good amount, but it's not to the point where it's second nature.
It's definitely something you have to remember to do is like look at your air.
Pull up a computer,
especially when you're looking
wrist.
at something like interesting, watching a school of fish or something.
Exactly.
You kind of zone out the fact that you have a limited supply of air.
Yeah, that HUD, that heads-up display would be really helpful for a lot of people.
That'd be kind of cool. Speaking of diving, I was watching a video with SV Delos, which is another YouTube page.
We're big fans of that one.
Big fans of that one. But yeah, they were doing this night dive, and they basically went out into the middle of like really deep water and at night, basically with no lights or anything, and they just jump in the water and just kind of hang out. And it was like the coolest thing. It's like one of those just sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
Were they watching like any bioluminescence or anything?
Yeah. So they saw the animals come up and there would be like lights and stuff.
Because we get that a few times a year here. Where you can, it's not like a crazy amount like a lot of places, but the bioluminescence anyway is what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like in the waves and stuff.
You can put your hand through it and you'll see the wave of like green or blue come through.
This was more like little organisms, like little like jellyfish and stuff like that. That type of stuff. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. Like it looked really scary, definitely. But I mean, it seemed like kind of one of those things that you have to try.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all diving at night. Everyone's like, yeah, it's really cool diving at night. And at this point, we're like, yeah, diving at night. But, in the back of your head, you're like, do I have this? Are we ready? Like,
well, it's not even that. It's just the fact, like, normally when we dive at night, I mean, we hang out at the bottom. Usually if we're diving at night, we're looking for lobster. So we're shining our light around on rocks and stuff. We can kind of see what's going on around us. This, not only did they have any lights, but they were in like 300 feet of water.
Yeah, they were in blue water.
It was like deep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's even when we're in our channel here on the depth of water point here, and you see that depth sounder, and it's at like 1,200 foot, and you're like, you look down, you get the shows, you're like, oh man,
like there's a lot of water there.
That's a lot of unknown. A lot of water, and like even when you just jump in and you're just sitting there floating in that water, knowing there's 1,000 feet of water underneath you.
Yeah, even during the day, it's weird.
Yeah, you just get sitting there weird
like feeling. Yeah,
because like you just at 1,200 feet. I mean, the biggest creature in the world. This is how I imagine it. It's just a giant creature out of the nowhere is coming up on you. Like, not even like a whale. I don't even know what I imagined, but it's just like.
I mean, it doesn't help when we have movies like Jaws and stuff. Like, of course, that's in the back of your mind. It's just these giant sharks or squid or something just coming up and nailing you.
I don't know why that's my first thought.
I don't know.
Coming out of the depths when people are like, I could just start sinking and drown. I'm like, no, I'm afraid of something coming up and grabbing
you. I get that feeling when even like in lakes and stuff, like when it's murky.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like jumping into a lake. It's like, oh man, what's down there?
Well, that's, I've been in visibility with our buddy Steven, like down in, I think we were at Deer Creek, and it was like 30 foot of water, and it was like his second time out, and we had like maybe 3 foot of visibility.
Oof.
And I was like, he doesn't have a spear gun on him at the time, so you can't. I was doing the trick where you hold it here and you go straight down and you hit the tip of your gun instead of the top of your noggin.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, there was the
you
first.
You were free diving.
Yeah, we were free diving. And the first time I went down, I didn't do that. And it's like, you're swimming straight down and you literally can't. You put your hand, a foot away from your face. Yeah. You can't see it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And it was
my first beach dive when I got certified was like that.
Yeah.
We got down to the bottom and we were sitting there on our knees, like, and we literally had to like lock arms. In order to not like drift apart and lose each other.
I remember, I think I was doing my rescue certification, and I was auditing an open water class, and same thing, we were right underneath Pepperdine, right there at like Webb Beach.
Yeah.
And I was helping Tom, the dive master at the time, and he was like, he literally, before we got in the water, he's like, just watch them, just swim behind them and make sure they like know where they're going.
Yeah.
Because I think we had like 5-10 foot of visibility. You think of 5-10 foot of visibility and you're like, oh yeah, it's fine. When you're all sitting at home here right now, no, add 30 feet of water above your head and then tell me how a 10 foot of visibility looks, because it is terrifying sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, especially when all you have is like a compass or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then back to the point is like, I mean, Steven was sitting there in that 1 foot of viz, and he's like, dude, anything can just roll up on us right now. We won't know until it hits you. I'm like, I mean, yeah.
And the weirdest part is, it's like the odds of that happening are minuscule,
tiny,
but it's still sitting there in your head, and it's the weirdest thing. I don't know why.
Well, you sent me the article on, I think it was ABC7 had done a report, and they found a video of a freediver, and he was in a huge kelp bed, and a juvenile white was swimming through the kelp.
Yeah, that's kind of like the going thing, was that sharks or great whites at least never hunted inside the kelp.
And we tell people that all the time, which, I mean, if we go in the water, like, just go in the kelp. Like, we're not going to bother you.
Yeah.
I mean,
this shark was swimming straight through the kelp.
And straight at this dude. Not like literally like going to attack him, but he was definitely investigating.
Yeah.
I think it goes, we should share that this kelp bed wasn't the most dense, but it was still a kelp bed.
No. Maybe I can put the video up when we do this on YouTube.
If you can find
I can find the link or something and see if I can get it on there. But
to its point, it's the depths are a scary place, and it's I think again that it takes you into your brain into another area, and I mean I think that helps with the disconnect. You're constantly thinking and contemplating about different things, and I think that's a really creative point that it can bring you into, and maybe that's why a lot of people just go out in the ocean and just kind of lose themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, and the sad part about it, though, is that it's a really big reason why a lot of people don't go in the water.
Yeah.
That constant fear of not knowing what's down there is just, they can't do it.
Well, I know my sister and I know Cass, like I'm like, hey, you should come to the beach and they come diving, come swim out in the water.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I don't want to get caught in seaweed. I don't want to, I don't want to get eaten by a shark, and it's just dark down there. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it is, but like that doesn't happen. I mean, remember we were swimming at the beach, and back to Steven, like we're like, oh, when was the last time you swam in the ocean? He's like, I never have. And we're like, Steven, you're like 29 years old. And he's like, yeah, I never swam in the ocean.
It's amazing how many people haven't. I mean, it's especially past the waves. I mean, everybody kind of plays in the waves as a kid, at least here in Southern California.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing how many people haven't gone past the break.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I mean, then again, it's that
fear
of not knowing what's down there. And it's so hard to convince people that all you need to do is put on a mask and look underwater.
Yeah. I can't. We can't stress that enough. Like, take that opportunity once, guys. Like, if it's your first time at the ocean, or like if you're, in the middle of the US or like the Midwest and you've never been to the water, just swim past the break and you will not regret it.
Even putting a mask on in the break, like just put a mask on so you can see underwater when you duck dive some waves.
You will see a fish.
You'll see some fish, you'll see snails, you'll see all that type of stuff.
Get out there, guys. Like, cause we can't tell you how epic it is. I mean, between the two of us, we have hundreds, if not maybe close to thousands of dives and hours and minutes in the water. And it's like, that's what we're describing right now, is the escape, that disconnect. Like, if you haven't enjoyed that, we can't stress enough to do it, because it'll change your brainwaves for a while.
Your brainwaves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I know a lot of people that won't even think about scuba diving.
Yeah. And it's not even the fear of drowning.
No,
it's the fear of unknown.
That's the weirdest thing.
It's the water provides a lot of unknown to people.
You would think people would be scared about having this tank on their back that they're surviving with, but it's not even that.
When I was working at Sports Show, like, if you knew the pressures that those tanks are at, you'd be more afraid of that tank on your back than because I mean, I have permanent hearing damage because some of those tanks, I mean, they are so scary to me.
When they blew?
Yeah, when the burst valve will go, like, oh man, those things are so loud. Yeah. And it's like, they'll spin like a top on the ground, and like that's strapped to your back. Like, it's touching your skin, and I have literally, there was holes in the wall at Sports Relay from those things going off.
Really?
Oh yeah. Ooh. And then what's even scary, I mean, those were filled to like 3,000 PSI, right? People came in with those carbon fiber tanks for like paintballing and like for, air guns.
Those are even higher.
Those are at like 35, 37 PSI. And I'm like, I would fill those things. I'd be sitting there like undoing the valve, like,
yeah, pressure is scary, man.
Yeah.
Air pressure is very scary.
So when people are afraid of the water, and I'm like holding their tank, like, no.
It's impossible not to be. Yeah. The amount of media that surrounds sharks and crazy ocean. I mean, even as a kid, it's like you hear like of Moby Dick and all those crazy ocean stories where
it's that mystery.
These big monsters come up and eat people and destroy ships and stuff. You can't not be scared of that.
No.
Like, that's always in your head.
Yeah. It'll always be there. I mean, I know for me it is. Is it for you? Like,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's always there. Like you said, even if you jump off the boat, just crossing the channel, like, if you can't see the bottom, all you see is blue.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that hits your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Or mind.
Well, yeah.
I guess the water would be the first thing that hit your head, but
well, it depends. I usually jump feet first. I don't fuck that.
But yeah, that's always it's always in your head.
Yeah.
It's always there.
And then when you do see the ground, like when we were at the back of Anacapa camping that night, or back of was it Santa Cruz? Santa Cruz, yeah.
Yeah. When you can see the bottom.
You see the bottom at like 20 feet. You're like,
yeah, that was cool.
It's like a kind of like a, like,
you can see everything underneath you.
Yeah,
it's kind of relieving.
Internally,
actually.
it's relieving. Yeah. But yeah, no, that mystery definitely helps with that disconnect. And it's always still there. You know, I'm 26 and I still get scared of the dark in the water. Like
I definitely want to try that nighttime.
Just shutting off
that nighttime dive.
I've definitely like going for lobster, and you know, I'll definitely put my hand over the lamp, and you definitely like as soon as that torch goes out, you're like, oh,
yeah,
because it is like
crazy. It's pitch black,
so dark.
It's pitch black.
It's like claustrophobic dark.
But then the weird thing is that it starts to get brighter.
Yeah, as soon as your eyes adjust.
As soon as your eyes adjust, you start seeing all these little lights and stuff.
And I blow people's mind with this fact all the time. Pirates didn't wear eye patches to protect their eyes or their eye holes.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, pirates wore eye patches on one eye when they go below the decks of a big galleon. They didn't have electricity or lights, and you don't put an open flame on a boat. Most inherent danger to a boat is fire, not sinking.
Yes.
So when they have an eye patch on their eye, they move it to the other eye, and their eye is already adjusted to the dark, so they can see underneath
you
the decks.
You can do the same thing in your house. Like, let's say you have to get up at night to go to the bathroom or anything like that. Like, you can actually just close one eye.
You hold your hand
if you have
over
to turn the bedroom light on or something, and when you turn the light back off, just open that eye back up. It actually helps.
Yeah, but if you want to get the feeling of what you're like at 30 feet underwater at night, just close your eyes and sit there for 10 minutes as best you can in pitch quiet silence and maybe just some clicking in your ear. That's 30 feet of water while you're trying to breathe air from this apparatus.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it. I think it would be a pretty unique experience.
Well, let's do it. I mean,
seeing all of like the glowing animals and stuff like that. That's just, that's so cool. The amount of stuff I think that would come up and kind of just be there.
Yeah, no, that's definitely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, get out there, disconnect.
Yeah, that's all we can stress you guys is take that opportunity, get out there, be comfortable in the water and if you're not, then
you don't necessarily have to be comfortable yet, but give it the opportunity. Yeah, give it the chance.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't, like you said, they don't. And
they won't even give it a shot. And you have to give it that shot.
And you'll see.
Get in the water, get over that fear of the unknown, because that is what makes it fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the driving force behind it. Exactly.
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
There's no reason.
You know, getting a disconnect, and that phone definitely provides a little shield for people, and that vulnerability is not there.
For sure.
Being in the water helps that vulnerability, and once you get that disconnect happens, that comfortable happens, and once you get back on shore, you're going to feel so good.
Yeah.
And not just from the salt water on your skin and the warm, but, you know, definitely that comfortability of what you just did and realizing what you can be doing.
Yeah. It's always nice to push that boundary of what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
It really helps.
Oh yeah.
But
sick.
Yeah. So that's episode 2. Let's see. This is coming out on the 16th. 16th.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Stick with us.
There we go.
See you guys.
We'll see you.